Hey there, Sagittarius. Back at it with another reading. Today you're going to be seeing cards from the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. Still sticking with that one as of late. But I am also incorporating some rune cards and dabbling with the I Ching. I've been a little bit inspired by the recent astrology podcast episode with Benabel Wen to incorporate the I Ching into my readings as a method of both practicing with the oracle and also just providing a little bit more insight into what's going on with the readings to kind of get in touch with the undercurrent a little bit and help me attune with what we're seeing. So in order to build up the hexagram, the I Ching hexagram, I actually use the coin toss method. So you get 3 coins and add up the values and get a line according to the values that you acquire. And what you ended up with is hexagram number 26. Sorry, a little distracting with all that other stuff on the screen. So the bottom trigram right here with the 3 yang lines is representing heaven. And this top trigram right here with the 2 yin lines and the yang line on the top is representing the mountain. So it's like heaven under the mountain. Heaven within the mountain. And I'm going to read from a little website that I'm on basically the correspondence behind what this hexagram represents. It's called, I'm not going to try to say the Chinese name, but it's called The Taming Power of the Great. And the judgment is, perseverance furthers, not eating at home brings good fortune, it furthers one to cross the great water. The image is heaven within the mountain, the image of the taming power of the small. Thus the superior man acquaints himself with many sayings of antiquity and many deeds of the past in order to strengthen his character thereby. So basically, it says, heaven within the mountain points to hidden treasures. In the words and deeds of the past there lies hidden a treasure that men may use to strengthen and elevate their own characters. The way to study the past is not to confine oneself to mere knowledge of history, but through application of this knowledge to give actuality to the past, to hold firmly to great creative powers and store them up as set forth in this hexagram. There is need of a strong, clear-headed man who is honored by the ruler. The trigram Qian, which is the heaven on the bottom trigram with the 3 yang lines, points to strong creative power. Ken, which is the mountain, the 2 yin lines with the yang line over top, indicates firmness and truth. Both point to light and clarity and to the daily renewal of character. Only through such daily self-renewal can a man continue at the height of his powers. Force of habit helps to keep order in quiet times, but in periods when there is a great storing up of energy, everything depends on the power of the personality. However, since the worthy are honored, as in the case of the strong personality entrusted with leadership by the ruler, it is an advantage not to eat at home, but rather to earn one's bread by entering upon public office. Such a man is in harmony with heaven. Therefore, even great and difficult undertakings, such as crossing the great water, succeed. Interesting. So a lot of what this hexagram is trying to convey is this sense of holding firm, of remaining as a point of stillness, maybe even turning one's awareness within, trying to find that treasure trove that's inside of your so-called mountain. For your rune card, I pulled the Gebo, which is the partnership rune, and it's the rune that looks like an X. So you have these 2 lines, these 2 principles, these 2 powers conjoining and crossing, intersecting, and the point of intersection is the point of partnership, the point of meeting. Interesting. Yeah, I was hearing like X marks the spot, like that treasure within, like maybe through partnership you're being provided awareness of some deeper understanding, like something about a partnership. And I'm gonna get into some of the story that I'm seeing unfold here, and obviously take it as you will. It can also just be like metaphor, so try to see if you can make sense of the energies that I try to articulate in your own way. But for your significator card, we have the Chariot in reverse. Is that focusing? Of course it isn't. And the Chariot is representing the sign of Cancer. And given that it's reversed, it's calling attention to the solstice, the standstill, the solar standstill. Like, when the sun reaches the northern solstice, there's this idea that it stands still for a moment before it begins to turn downward and work its way southward in the sky. It's like I'm getting the sense that you're like hanging on to this point, like you reach the peak of something, you reach the highest form of a situation, and you don't want to move from that point, because there's this energy of disappointment, of loss, of there we go, this receding, it's almost like you achieve the best of something, and you don't want to give it up, but you can feel that the energy is conducive for losing something, for leaving something behind. What goes up must come down. This fundamental principle, and I feel like you're kind of fighting with it in some way. You don't want to move, you don't want things to change, you don't want to give this thing up. And so that's kind of what that mountain in the I Ching hexagram is like that holding firm, that staying resolute, and holding on to the treasure, holding on to the heaven under the mountain. Behind you we have the Tower card right here in reverse. I heard crisis averted, like holding on to that energy even through tumult, even through like a storm, holding on to that relationship or that partnership, even if it ended. I'm hearing like delulu, like maybe something ended, something reached its conclusion, and now it's transitioning into something else, maybe being single, if that's the way that it's taking shape in your life. But there's this idea that you're still holding on to the feeling, like you don't want to give the feeling up. You have the Four of Swords crossing you, which in this deck is called Truce. That's the last decan of Libra. Kind of looks like the rune Gable, right? These crossing principles and the intersection point in the middle. I'm hearing retaining partnership, like even though something may have happened in the past, some sort of breakdown, separation, maybe even argument, but because it's reversed, I'm getting the sense that it was kind of like resolved somehow. Like there's this energy of wanting to hold on to the connection, hold on to the partnership. And maybe the language in the contract has to change slightly in order to accommodate the new energy. But I'm still getting the sense that you Sagittarius, with this reverse Chariot in your significator position, it's like you don't want it to change into that. You don't want to revise the contract. You liked it the way it was. Why can't it stay that way? But Mars right here with the Five of Cups with disappointment. This is the first decan of Scorpio. it's like it's changing regardless. Like you can't control this. You can't force it to stay the same. And that's a good thing, honestly. Like, you don't want to be stagnating. You know, if something isn't changing, it's stagnating. And it's just like a breeding ground for all the foul things in reality. At the base of your reading, we have the Prince of Wands in reverse. I heard unstick me. Like, you're a fire sign. That could be you. That could be representing you. It's like the energy is stuck. Like, you're holding it. You're keeping it within. Like, with the I Ching hexagram, like, I'm seeing like a mountain with this really huge cave underneath it, and inside of this cave is like all these riches, all these trinkets, like crystals and jewels and minerals, and just, I'm even seeing like teddy bears and stuff, like things that have value and importance to you. And like this mountain is sentient, and there was an entrance to get into this cave from the outside, but the mountain decided, no, we're gonna have a landslide and we're gonna cover up this entrance and nobody can get in or get out. Like, it's contained. This energy isn't moving, it's staying right here. You can't go. But the energy is like, unstick me. Stop. Don't hold me. Don't imprison me. Because the energy wants to move, the energy wants to flow, as it does. But if you're not providing it with the outlet, if you're not allowing it to enter and exit as it will, you're just creating a breeding ground for decay. Like, even if you cut like a beautiful flower and you put it in a vase, like, it's gonna fade. It's gonna fade eventually. You can't keep it beautiful forever. So enjoy it while you have the moment to enjoy it. While you're in the moment of pleasure with it. But honor the flux of life. Honor the movements. Honor the changing tides. You know, these experiences will come and go. These people will come and go. Or if this person is remaining stable with you, it's like you need to trust that some fundamental principle within the partnership, maybe the partnership itself, is going to remain, is going to stay strong. It's just that the outer form may shift around a little bit, and needing to be okay with that is kind of what the message is here. Like, needing to trust that even if the appearances change, that there's still a tether, there's still a connection. And maybe the overall message is to retain the connection to self. Like, if you were in the midst of a breakup and like trying to hold on to the good feelings that existed before the breakup, it's like remembering that the unchanging principle within that relationship was you. Like, those feelings came from you, and not being dependent on external forces, external circumstances, or another person to cultivate those feelings in yourself. Like, those arose within you. You know, people and circumstances don't make you feel anything. You make yourself feel a certain way. Like, it's on a very fundamental level, it's like it's always your decision how you feel in any given moment. And this situation is just trying to remind you to return to that principle, to focus on that, and to cultivate your inner space. You know, to create the diamonds out of the coal that's under the mountain, like using that tremendous pressure and focus to cultivate something beautiful and lasting and enduring. Crowning the reading, we have the Three of Swords right here, which only serves to further this idea of a breakup. Or at the very least, some kind of shift where partnership is concerned. You know, the three is like when this dual principle of light and dark, of masculine, feminine, or, you know, whatever sort of duality you want to ascribe to, whatever sort of binary that you can think of. It's these two principles coming together and creating something different from their union. Like the third principle is the union principle of these two. And with the swords, it's something of an intellectual nature, some sort of like some sort of, I'm hearing like contractual matrix within which the relationship operates. Like maybe saying, oh, we were this before and now we're going to be this. We were friends before and now we're going to be lovers. Or we were lovers before and now we're going to be friends. Or you were my boss before and now I'm going to be your boss. Like the dynamic is changed, but it's been through like mutual agreement. Like I feel like there's definitely some kind of discourse happening. Like it's not like the relationship itself is completely severed. It's just, the roles are shifting, the roles are changing in some way. And being okay with that, because it's a process of creation. It's a process, you know, you can't create something without really destroying or transforming something else. And the Three of Swords is the second decan of Libra, by the way. So maybe something to consider. I don't know if that's relevant to your particular chart, but maybe take a look. Before you, we have the Aeon, which is the World card. Really don't understand the behavior with this focusing. Sometimes it wants to, and sometimes it doesn't. Is it going to focus now? Yeah. Okay, so the World card. You know, this is like culmination, this is reaching climax, this is ultimate manifestation, one cycle ending, new cycle beginning. And I'm hearing like the world will change around you, but you will remain. Which kind of echoes the liturgy from Dune. I think it's called the liturgy. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've read the books. But like fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. But you will face your fear. You will allow it to pass over you and through you. And when the fear is gone, you will turn the inner eye to see its path. And where the fear is gone, only you will remain. I may have paraphrased that a little bit, but it's like this idea that no matter what happens outside, no matter what feelings arise, you remain in the midst of it. You, reconnecting with the principle of you, the I am within. Finding your own ground. These circumstances are just a mirror for you. The outer world is a mirror reflecting yourself back. As I was shuffling your cards, I was thinking about the Temperance card, which in this deck is called Art, and of course it came out. This is you, Sagittarius. You are Temperance. I like this depiction in this deck because it is very like alchemical. I like to think of the different fire signs as like different forms of fire within our life. So like Aries, I kind of think of as like the illuminating light, the illuminating fires, like our torches, our candles. the things that we need to support our activities or help us move into through the darkness with like a torch or something. And then Leo being like the hearth fire, where it's like this fixed point within the house, like the largest space of fire. And then the ritual fire or the sacred fire being Sagittarius, where you kind of deposit your offerings into this fire and it transforms them into a subtle form, working with gross matter and transforming it into something that's formless. Like offering food to the gods by putting it in the fire and allowing it to become a subtle food that they can feed on. But in reverse, it's like this process of offering, this process of transforming. It's like it's being held. Like I see somebody who like closed themselves into a prison cell, closed the door, and they're holding on to it. And they're like, I've locked myself in here, and like there's this awareness that there's something else in the prison cell that you don't want to get out. And you're holding it there. You're like, I'm gonna stand here, I'm gonna hold this door closed, you can't get out, I can't get out, we're staying right here. And this isn't, we're not changing, we're not moving. Like something, like there's just this really strong attachment to keeping something restrained, keeping something within. And for the people around you, we have the Hanged Man card. I typically like to think of this card as Pisces, but with this storyline that's kind of unfolding, I'm seeing this as the people around you, like glass figures. That's such a weird image. They're really yielding to your vision. Like if you don't want something to move, then they're just kind of like, okay, well, that's what we're going with. Not necessarily trusting you or allowing you. It's more that their role in your experience is taken on like more of a receptive role, like more of a reflective role. Like they're just kind of standing back and being the mirror. They're not necessarily taking active role in the process that's unfolding. They're kind of letting you take the reins, but they're definitely like sitting back, and they're able to see the situation from a completely different perspective, probably the perspective that you're not wanting to see, not allowing yourself to see. And it's not like they're trying to force it on you, but they're there for when you're ready to allow it, when you're ready to look into the mirror and see yourself and the situation for what it is and accept it and allow it to be what it is. It's like that's what they're there for. They're just holding space for that moment whenever it comes. Like this element of waiting for you to let go, waiting for you to move again, waiting for you to unlock the prison cell door, whatever, waiting for the opening into the mountain to be cleared. But they're like trusting the process. They're connecting to source, connecting to the truth. And in some way, maybe accepting the circumstances that I feel like you're imposing upon them. Because that's just who they are. And through that sacrifice that they're making, it kind of shows you what you're actually doing and where you are with things. looking at this card next to it, like they are the shifting world around you that is just trying to remind you where you are and who you are. It's very interesting. It's like, I don't even know how to articulate the energy that I'm connecting with there. For your hopes and fears, you have the Five of Wands in reverse. In this deck, it's called Strife. And that is the first decan of Leo, Saturn ruled. It's like you're hoping like this idea of not wanting there to be a struggle against what you're doing, what you're imposing, but also being afraid that there won't be. Like hoping for it while being afraid of it. So bizarre. Like you're seeing this person, this hanged man, whoever this is or whatever situation this is, that's just kind of allowing and accepting your attitude on things. It's like that's what you're afraid of. I'm hearing like it makes me out to be the bad guy. Why do I have to be the bad guy? And maybe in some way they're sort of showing you the energy that you need to be embodying, like reflecting the opposite of what you're doing, of what you're embodying, of what you're connecting with. They're counterbalancing that and showing you, hey, maybe things would be better if you took this approach. And I don't feel like they're necessarily telling you that, they're showing it to you. Like again, like there's this energy, they're not imposing anything on you, they're not trying to force you to change, they're not trying to insinuate anything. They're just, by virtue of who they are and what they're doing, expressing everything that's unsaid to you and helping you to come to some kind of realization and acceptance. Like they don't have ill intentions. For the final outcome, you have the Three of Cups right here, this abundance card. And this is like when you allow the energy to move freely again, when you allow the two dynamic principles that came together that I was talking about earlier to fuse together and to create something. But the important concept with this imagery is this idea of flowing, of allowing, of trusting, of being open to the new, allowing things to change their shape as they will, because things change and that's okay. It's just the fact of life. But staying true to who you are while being flexible, while surrendering and trusting, and of course taking an active role, but also taking the time to reflect and make sure that you're not in a space of resistance, not in a space of like trying to hold on to something that doesn't need to be held on to. Like, the more you fight, the worse it gets. But if you just allow and be open and receptive and try to look at this from a different perspective, maybe the perspective of the person that's relevant to this situation, this partnership, if that's what it is, will help the energy start moving again and move you towards this lovely state of abundance and exchange and goodness, like partying. Yeah, so like the third The Three of Cups is the second decan of Cancer, and usually about the time that the sun is traversing that decan is around 4th of July for those of us in the United States. But if you think about like the energy that's like kind of surrounding that, I feel like it conveys this Three of Cups, where it's like these people coming together and barbecuing and partying and enjoying the fireworks. Like there's this very nurturing, close, intimate, fun, free, appreciative, playful energy, and it feels familiar. Like it's a tradition that you're connecting with, and this obviously isn't going to be relevant to everyone in the world, but like just in thinking about that principle, that sort of energy, and how it's very much expressed in this card, this coming together and enjoying the space that's created between through this exchange. Yeah, and with that, the cards are quiet. So hopefully this helps you to kind of process what's going on and better understand an appropriate course of action, or at least provide a reminder for further reflection and confirmation of the need to try to see things from a slightly different angle, try to see things from somebody else's perspective. Like they're not here to hurt you, but there's an opportunity to learn from them somehow. Yeah. Wish you the best, Sagittarius. I will see y'all soon.